taken down. Pardon me, Kuhlman's on the puck, sets up Bedard, a little bit of speed. Connor Bedard walking in, backhand try, scores! You want a response? You got it! What a goal! Backhand on top, and it's 1-1.
Bedard behind his net to pick it up. To center ice. Nice move to gain the line. Right circle shot, scores! Connor Bedard has arrived here at the Pratt Center, his first in the Western Hockey League. Draw, Bedard steals. He's in the left circle to the slot. A shot, scores! He's done it again! 2 goals here in the second, and it's 3.
Yes, baby, that's what I'm talking about. That's dude. Guys, welcome back to Shawn in the Morning on Sports Zone Chicago. That overall pick in the NH draft. And he's coming to this about Connor Bedard. And so I'm reading this. I saw Jason's post. And according to Ben Pope, I remember this yesterday. I brought this. Peep this. As of 11 p.m. Central Time Day. Now, mind you, the draft started at 8. The draft started at 8. As of 9/11 p.m., $1 million worth of season ticket plans. That number had risen as of 12:11 p.m. on Tuesday. So at 8 to 12, so 16 hours. In 16 hours, they had $5.2 million in season ticket plans. The whole season, most of them, the whole season, because you know they sell packages. All right, they don't sell. Whoever came up with the package thing, the pieces, phenomenal idea. Because a lot of people didn't want to pay, for baseball, 81 games, and basketball, 41 games. Baseball. I mean, basketball and hockey, 40. You don't want to pay for 4. It's a lot of games. But when you come up with chunks, 5, 20 games, cool. But when you got people buying full season packages, that says a lot about the person you're about to sign or you're about to draft. Well, listen. My first guest, good friend of the program. Glad to have him back on. Man, he is the founder of National.com. You can find him on Twitter. It's at The-Rink Official. You can find him using my favorite handle at Pucks, Jeff Osborne. Jeff, what's up, buddy? How are you?
What's going on, buddy? It's been a long time.
Man, it has been. Not a lot of good hockey to talk about.
No, there has not. No, there has not.
That's what it's been. Not a lot of good hockey. Talk to me about this kid, Connor Bedard. We had heard about him for a long time. We had heard this was the consensus number 1 pick. We had heard this guy is a generational talent. We heard this guy is the next Patrick Kane. He's up there with Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid. Talk to me. Is all the hype about this kid, is it for real?
Yeah, it's for real, man. I mean, he got special permission to play in the Western Hockey League when he was like 15 years old to play against basically, 17, 18, 19-year-old kids. And he dominated then. There's things to worry about, like his size. He's not as big as Connor McDavid, but he's close. So if you put him in the right position and you put him with the right players, man, the kid can shine. His speed and his agility and his hands are just off the charts.
But this is very similar to Patrick Kane. Patrick Kane wasn't big. They listed Patrick Kane at like 5'10". Patrick Kane.
Yeah, that's maybe what lifts in his shoes.
5'10" and 7/8. All right.
Yeah,
he's not 5. And this guy is the next greats. And it's evident by what happened. How crazy was it? What did it say when the Blackhawks, and I just ran those numbers off, in 6 sold $5.2 million in season.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, but I think it's deserved, well deserved, because this kid is going to be something. Like, he's going to put on a show. He's going to be worth paying to see. And, going back to the size a little bit, like, if you look at some of these NHL players, they're not built like NFL linebackers. They're built thin and tall. Maybe not even tall anymore. They're built thin. Most of these guys are on the thinner side. So like, they're in the 8, they're in defensive back range as far as their size and their, they're fast, they're quick. They have to be quick on their feet. You don't find too many guys who are 6'6", 240. You don't find that anymore. No more Dustin Bufflins. There's not a lot of that anymore. So like him being on the smaller
no more
side,
Charas.
That's the way the NHL is trending.
That's good. I don't mind it because I'm sure he's program a regiment and it's fine. Put another 5 or 10 pounds on him. Nothing too crazy, jacked or anything. But I think they'll strengthen him, get him stronger. Now it's rebuild. This rebuild that they they traded everyone and their mama. All right, but all of a sudden they got 2 firsts, 4 seconds. I don't remember the third. The next year they have 2 firsts and 2 seconds. How crazy? How much faster is this rebuild now that most likely, and they better, not even, I shouldn't say most likely, they Connor Bedard or someone who's losing their job, run out of town. And then all the other picks that they have this year and next year. Ask now, can we expect as a fan base to see this be relevant again?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to race to the altar just yet. let's give it a little bit of time. It's going to take a couple of years, and honestly, they were fun to watch this year, even though they were bad, which is ironic. They had some, with Domi coming in and Andreas Athanasiou coming in, and they had some bright spots. And Lucas Reichel has showed that he might be a good top 6 winger for this team and organization. So I don't want to say that like they're going to jump right in and be contenders next year, because I would actually honestly rather if they picked in the lottery once again, because you do that 2 years of them being in the lottery. Year 3, they start trending up. Year 4, you're in the playoffs and you could be contending and surprising and maybe potentially contending, for a cup, depending on how, the rest of the Western Conference lays out.
So 23, we have them. So 25, 26, we're contenders, maybe not strong contenders, but we're definitely in the playoffs and maybe get to the conference semifinals or the conference finals is when we can start. I mean, again, just being relevant. I'm not hoisting a trophy yet, but they're relevant. We're like, we're going deep into the playoffs.
If you look and you compare it to
how
just compare how the Blackhawks looked with Taves and Kane. They drafted Taves and Kane, and then there was about a year of a little bit of struggling. And then the year after that, they almost made the playoffs. And then the year after that, they were in the playoffs and they were contending. So that you could look at like a similar timeline on what happened with the Taves and Kane era. If Bedard works out, if everything works out in this draft, and next year they get another, high-end talent. It's not going to, I don't expect them to pick first overall next year. But if they pick 7, 8, they could get something.
What are your likelihoods? And guys, we're joined by Jeff Osborne, at the -rink.com, talking Blackhawks here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago. What are the likelihood of them trading a package of players? Because like I said, 1 first, 4 seconds. Again, I don't remember how 2 firsts, 2 seconds next year. What is the likelihood of them doing what the Houston Texans did, trading some of their capital, jumping back, getting another one, because the very top heavy last year. I think they're a top 3 pick for it. What's the likelihood this year, or maybe even next up in the top 5 to get another stud player? And now you're layering your lines with stud players and role players.
Well, I mean, this is my pipe dream, and I've been on this bandwagon for probably most of the year. Is that they have that number 1920 pick from the Lightning. My pipe dream is they take a couple of those seconds, take that first, package it together, try to get in the top 10 again. Because you get 2 top 10 players in this very strong draft, you speed that rebuild up. Having having Connor Bedard and another top 10 player. So I think they could possibly pull it off. And Kyle Davidson has really shown that he has the coconuts to really make something like that happen. So I think that that's what he's thinking. That's what he wants to do. So, if it happens, I don't have any inside information. I'm just saying, my thinking and my logical thought is that's what they're going to try to do with that second pick, is they're going to try and move up a little bit and try to really nail this draft. Then even if you take 1 or 2 seconds this year, or a second this year and a second next year, you still got all the rest of those draft picks. You're not missing anything. You're not losing anything. In fact, you're just gaining.
What about the potential? And there are rumors. I thought of it right away as soon as they won it. Back and inviting Patrick Kane back, or obviously talking to him. What is it like? What is your thought on that? Some people have said, no, let the new regime, let the new young guys do their thing. Others saying, hey, you know what? You want to hasten the rebuild. You get a good mixed young talent with great veterans is a good mix. Your thoughts on the Patrick? Bring him back?
Me, no, don't bother. I mean, if you want to give him a 1-year deal at a reasonable rate, okay, fine. But I really honestly think that, by the time they're really ready to roll, that Patrick Kane's going to be, he's going to be a complimentary player, probably on a team that, just needs to get over the precipice and just over the edge, and kind of like the Rangers were this year. Because he's going to start getting older. He's played a lot of hockey. He's got a lot of miles on him. That's nothing against him. He's still a great player. He's a legend. His numbers are going to be in the rafters. He might go down as, the best American-born hockey player to ever live. So there's nothing against that. But why go backwards? Why go backwards and bring back the old when you're trying to usher in the new? You don't want to tie him up in a long-term deal because he's older. And, older players can tend to drop off the cliff pretty quickly, and it's going to happen. And, it's happened with Jonathan Toews a lot earlier than it happened with Patrick Kane, but he's going to drop off a cliff. And then you're going to be stuck with this guy who's just mucking up your cap a little bit. But, they have all this cap room. Why tie it up in anything other than youth and futures and stuff like that? Because you're just overpaying for stuff, and probably for someone who's going to underperform. So why overpay for underperformance when you could just, the slate is clean, we move forward, we do what happened in 2006 and move on. That's kind of my opinion on that.
(2006) seems like forever, a generation ago. Actually, it might be. What is it? 17 years? That's a long time ago. But what about getting any free agents? I mean, any veterans? I mean, that team to grow together, you're gonna want a mix of some savvy vets. Who you think that they should probably go get? Who really wouldn't disrupt the chemistry? Wouldn't be still going to be the star because of his history here. Who do you think that would be a good person for the Hawks to target and to help this young team to grow?
Well, I think, what they did last year was fine. They brought in some veterans on 1-year deals. So maybe 1 or 2-year deals. I wouldn't be opposed to them bringing Max Domi back. The guy's got a lot of grit. He's a leader. Everyone loved him here. You could probably get him at a reasonable price once again. I'm fine with that. Bring him back, and help. He could play with Connor Bedard. You could put him on the wing with Connor Bedard, even though he's a center. But you could put Connor Bedard on the wing and have Max Domi, who's got a little bit of grit, a little bit of toughness, to kind of keep an eye on the kid. So So I'd be fine with that. But I mean, really, at this point, as long as you can get a guy who's going to, most players who are responsible in there, on both sides, have a little bit of leadership, maybe assistant alternate captains, players of that nature, bring them in for some little bit of leadership and a little bit of experience, but you don't want to tie them up long-term and you don't want to overpay them. So a lot of times it's going to be guys who are probably on like prove it deals, who are trying to prove it for their next step, or guys you flip at the deadline for more assets in the draft. Because again, like next year should be a little more similar to what this year was, more than it would be, them winning. But just some leadership guys. I like, that they brought Jared Tenorti back, who's a defenseman. I mean, he's 30 years old. Or 30 something years old. He might be 31 by now. But he's bounced around the league, but he's a big, tough guy with a little bit of leadership and a lot of experience. And that's fine. He doesn't have to light the world on fire. I don't need to see him in the stats categories, lighting up with goals. What I want him teaching, Connor Bedard and Lucas Reichel and all these young kids, and maybe Regula and Vlasic and all these young kids. I want him teaching them the experience, how to be a pro, how to, navigate the NHL, how to adjust to the speed. All that stuff is what you need. This is all teaching. It's all student teaching on the job kind of stuff, and kind of take the pressure off of Luke Richardson. So Luke Richardson can kind of, keep this circus going down the tracks, in the right, at the right speed and at the right rate,
What about a goaltender? All right. When do we attack that? Do we attack it now? Or next year, do we good? Or do we attack that next year? Do we go free agent? What about attacking the guy between the pipes? Because regardless, at the end of the day, a goal change or lose a series. A dude can just be on his head. Doesn't matter how many offensive stalwarts you have on a specific team. If dude's on his head, he's on his head, and there's nothing you can do about it. When do the Hawks address that? They have a lot of capital. Or do you get a stand between the pipes?
Yeah, well, luckily this is my area of expertise because I'm a goalie myself. So, they're actually their pipeline is in a lot better shape than one might think. Next year, Peter Mrazek will probably be back. They're not going to dump him. They got 1 year, and that was a brilliant move, honestly, because you took a guy who was kind of a little bit overpaid, but you had the cap room. You took him off Toronto's hand, and you get draft picks on top of it. It's like free money. So Mrazek will probably be back for a year, and that's fine. And probably you'll see Arvid Soderblom play maybe as a backup, and they may bring in a veteran as well. But you're going to want to start ushering some of these younger guys into the NHL and start giving them experience. And you had Jackson Stauber last year, who I didn't like him in the preseason. I thought I was not impressed with him, but as he played during the season, he actually won me over a little bit. So Jackson Stauber will probably be in the AHL. And then they have Drew Commesso, who is highly regarded, Team USA goalie, played college hockey last year at a really high level. Excuse me. And so they're going to have those two guys probably in the AHL. You might want to sign another goalie somewhere else, a veteran, some guy to just be there to sit behind the kids. But right now, I think you have, two decent NHL goalies and two decent AHL goalies. And Drew Commesso probably in 2 years will probably be ready to step into the NHL, possibly be their starter over Soderblom. He's probably a better goalie overall. And, he's more of a Corey Crawford-esque type player, but Corey Crawford took several years until his mid-20s until he was ready to play in the NHL, until he really got the shot. So Commesso will probably get his opportunity earlier than Corey Crawford did. But I think they're in a good position. Like if they want to bring Stalock back, that's fine. He's an older guy, a lot of experience. That's fine. You could do that. But you got to sprinkle Soderblom in and then let the kids, let the kids marinate in the AHL. Don't pressure them. Don't put them in the NHL playing behind a bad team. Just let them get their experience. It's better to keep them in the AHL a year too long than it is to bring them a year too soon. Because we figured that out with what Stan Bowman did. He would rush these prospects, he'd bring them in the NHL, and then they would fail because they would struggle, and then their confidence is gone, and then he would just dump them. And we want to end that cycle. Let them marinate. Let them do what they did in Detroit for so long, which is they kept everybody in Grand Rapids for maybe a year too long. But when they came out of Grand Rapids, they were ready to go. And that's really what Kyle Davidson should be doing here. Be careful, err on the side of caution. Let's do this the right way. Don't do the Stan Bowman where you wanted to get the hype train out there. And, everybody's going to be so good. He's going to be this guy, Ian Mitchell, Teuvo Teravainen, who still has yet to score over like 25 goals. A lot of these players, they're NHL, and even Kirby Dach to a degree. Like he should have went back to juniors. There was no reason to bring Kirby Dach into the NHL. And now they sent Korchinski back last year, which is fine. I wouldn't even care if they left Korchinski back there one more year if they could, or play him in the AHL. Just let's not rush anything. Let's just take it nice and easy, because in the end, it will all be worth it.
Guys, we're joined by Jeff from the -rink.com talking about Hawks, Shawn and Maya in the morning. For a question before we let you go, Jeff, and love your love time this morning. What about the captain's position? What about that? Who do you see as the next captain? Do they go a year without alternate captains? What's the situation there? What's your on that? Because we don't have a captain is no longer with us anymore, and most teams have. Where do we there for that to look for our new captain?
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Jonathan Toews was out for a year and a half. They didn't have a captain for a while. For them not having a captain, it's not that big a deal. I mean, put a couple of A's on some people's sweaters. You got to think that, Connor Bedard is probably going to end up the captain of this team at some point in time, just like Connor McDavid before him. Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews I know Matthews probably will be the captain at some point in time. Even though John Tavares was the captain. That's just the way it is. You get a generational talent, no matter how young they are. I mean, Jonathan Toews, when he became captain, was 19? So it's like, the younger players are being accepted as captains a lot sooner. And you got to think Connor Bedard is going to end up being the captain. And I think you just hold it until he's ready, until, 2-3 years in, just have all assistant captains and have Connor Bedard be the captain in 2-3 years and make that your plan. And if that plan doesn't work out and you want to make someone else your captain, you could have a Kevin Korchinski or someone like that might end up being a captain, but you have a little bit of time. There's no need to race. It's really just, it's a letter on a jersey. Everybody in that locker room knows who the captain is. They know who the leaders are. Just a letter on a jersey isn't going to really matter much. So just hang out, let it sit there and be without a captain for a couple years. And I think everything will be fine in the end.
Osborne from the puck, the-rink.com on Twitter. It's at The-Rink Official. Dude, great stuff as always. I'm telling you, I'm fired up. I'm really looking forward to the season this year. Well, first we got to the draft, and I want to hear his name called. That's the number one pick, the Blackhawks select. That's going to be dope. But do me a favor before you go, let everyone know where they can find you and your work online.
Yeah, you can find me at Puck and Hustle, obviously. The-Rink Official on all the social medias. We also have a Blackhawks-centric Twitter account, which is The-Rink Shy, CHI. So that's just the Blackhawks stuff. The Rinkcast, we just recorded a Rinkcast yesterday about the same subject, and we talked about it for over an hour. So, check out the Blackhawks Rinkcast on all your on all your podcatchers. We use the same kind of media, visual media. So you can get us on YouTube, you can get us on the Facebook. live and all that stuff. Check us out. Our guys work real hard. You know, I've kind of taken a back seat to let my writers take care of a lot of this stuff. So, and they do a great job. So shout out to all my writers over at the-rink.com and all my boys, Andy and Eric and Ray and all of them. They do a great job over there. So thanks a lot, Shawn. Thanks for having me.
Man, great to have you. I appreciate it, man. We'll be in touch soon. Thank you.